Welcome back to Bay Area Panthers Weekly. I am Mike Pulaski, your host, and we just finished the defensive side of the ball. Morris Joseph Jr., what a hoot, a lot of fun, and a lot of fun to watch play, too. Defense last night, 57 points, but the defensive line was fierce. But the breakout last night, the offense showed up big time, and a dude who actually had, I think, 3/5 of the total offensive yards is on with us right now, quarterback Josh Jones. And dude, you had a game last night. You were balling last night.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And last night was a fun game for sure. Offense really put it all out there, and I look forward to kind of watching the film and kind of building from it.
What did you know going into that game?
I mean, we knew they were a good defense. You know, they're coached really well. Their defensive coordinator does a good job with them. He was a really good player too. So we knew they were going to be, dialed into kind of what they were doing. And we just tried to take advantage of kind of what we thought their weaknesses was. And, running the ball was kind of the first one for us. And obviously ran the ball pretty well last night. And then once you get them to kind of respect the run, then you can take your shots, downfield when you get one-on-one and things like that. And I think we did a good job basically the whole game, except there was about 2 drives in the first half where we kind of had a little lull. But other than that, I mean, I feel pretty good about what we did last night for sure.
Yeah, as a quarterback, I always hated the term balance, right? I always just wanted to sit back and rock it, right? Let it rip. But you learn as you mature that being able to run the ball is your best friend because it keeps the pressure off you. It opens up passing lanes. It does all those good things for you. And Josh Tomas, talk about him because last night he was a running back, no catches, but he was a running back and he was toting the rock. Like that's not even his natural position, and he was running it well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. I mean, when you have a good run game like we did last night, with JT and all that kind of stuff and the offensive line playing well, it opens up everything else in the offense and it makes things run a lot smoother. From a play caller's perspective, Coach Rod is able to call some more stuff, be a little bit more aggressive because we know we can rely on JT and that offensive line to run the ball. So when we're able to do that, we're going to be tough to stop, and we just got to continue to do that, as an offense.
So I hear the coach speak kind of coming through you because you're a coach too, right? Coach, player. And so as a player and a coach now, do you think like a coach at times in game rather than like a player?
Definitely. And I think it's helped me out tremendously. Like I'm able to kind of obviously see it like a player, and think about it as a quarterback on the field that's actually doing the stuff, but also, when it comes down to clock management or situational football, you kind of have that kind of ingrained in your head from the times where you have meetings as a coach and stuff like that. So, in terms of clock management, we could have been a little bit better, towards the end of the first half last night. But yeah, I definitely kind of feel that coach coming out at me right now. Just talking about it, I kind of sound like a coach. But yeah, we got to clean that up. But it definitely kind of helps you in terms of your mental throughout the game.
There's no doubt that coaching helps you become a much better player. I can remember, for the first several years, I was working on my game playing, but then I went back and started coaching the quarterbacks at Cal while I was still playing. So my off-season work, I'd go back there and work with those guys. And I realized how many things I picked up about my game and about the position and about technique because now I'm teaching it. It's like, oh, wait, yeah, that's why you do that. And it pops in your head because now you have to teach it. So you have to know even more thoroughly. It's a great thing to coach.
For sure. Yeah, and I think just like you said it, you kind of see it from 2 different perspectives, and it kind of helps you put it all in one. And you're able to kind of say, hey, this is what the coaches are thinking in this situation. And then also as a quarterback, you come into the huddle and you're like, hey, we're in this kind of situation. We don't have to get out of bounds. We got all 3 timeouts, whatever. You're just throw little things out like that everybody might not be thinking about. And that's part of your job as the quarterback too, is to make sure everybody's on the same page. When you break the huddle, and I think that kind of goes into kind of what I do and kind of how a quarterback operates.
Yeah, leadership skills so important. What kind of a leader are you when you're out there on the field?
Yeah, I think I like to lead by example. I'm in command of the huddle, but I really want my teammates to know that like they can rely on me as kind of being that same quarterback every game. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be, accountable. I'm going to be there early every day. I'm one of the first ones in the building every day. And I really just try and let everybody see that. Especially coming to a new team like I did this year and, just kind of earn everyone's respect. That's kind of how I operate. And then obviously, like I said, you got to be in command of the huddle and kind of direct traffic when you're out there.
Yeah, quarterback has to be, right? They look, especially in times of panic and oftentimes in football game, people don't recognize it. But in the huddle, dudes have like the 1,000-yard stare on their face and stuff going on. And, they're looking around. But you have to be the loudest, calmest voice so that people look at you, they're like, oh, okay, I can calm down. Like they regulate off of your regulation. And so if you're not that guy, then it makes it harder for your team. I love that. And I love mindset, right? I just wrote my book. I talked to you about it. You're getting a copy of it this week. Everyday Great. By the way, everybody at home, get a copy of Everyday Great. You can get it on Amazon right now or text the word great to 55444. You'll love it. But let's talk mindset. What do you do to prepare for a game coming in?
I think a big part of me is just kind of like, especially the night before the game, you gotta see yourself doing great things. And I think that just kind of puts it in a perspective when you get out there and you're able to kind of, hey, I've been in this situation before, even if you haven't, you're able to kind of see yourself the night before, do good things and kind of put the offense in good position. So when you're out there, you bring it to light. And then I think like throughout the week, every day after practice, you got to come home, get with your guys, watch extra film, make sure you're all on the same page, especially like with a short week that like we had this week. Communication and was kind of more important than it ever has been, just in making sure everyone's, on the same page, because we don't get that much time on the practice field or trying to get guys back healthy for the game. But, breaking things down, seeing everything, walking through every play in your head, it really all goes back to the vision aspect and kind of understanding what's going on.
I love that. Yeah. So I was a huge fan of visualizations when I was playing. I learned it at Cal, and then I took it to the next level when I got to the pros. And I would actually work out on game day. I would first, I tried to get outside, so ride the mountain bike, do something active outside. But then I would get 30 minutes on a stationary bike with my game plan, and I would literally go through and visualize every single play against every coverage that I might possibly get. And each visualization, it happens. It's really quick. But I wanted to do it while I was active, so put myself in the moment with adrenaline going and kind of the workout. And so I love the visualization. Where'd you learn that from?
Oh, I think just, playing back in my college days, I had a really good offensive coordinator and quarterback coach who kind of helped me understand. He coached in the NFL for a couple seasons, and he kind of just showed me kind of how to be a pro about it. Be in the meeting room, and that's probably more important than the practice field, in some aspects. So I learned that, being able to walk through, things like you said, your plays, getting in an environment that you're not used to and kind of putting yourself in that position. My college coaches did a really good job of that, and they kind of prepared me and kind of ingrained that in me as I move forward in my professional career.
So important. What you believe about the situation is even more important than the actual facts of the situation, right? Because that's how your body and your nervous system reacts to it. And so to prepare yourself for it is so key. Last night, not that he's a new target, but really stepped out a little bit of a shadow. Tyrese Chambers really showed up with a couple big go routes down the sideline. By the way, both of those balls, the second one, I think, just a little bit better than the first one, but they were both phenomenal. Like you couldn't have placed those balls any better.
I thank you. Appreciate it.
Tell me about those routes. Tell me why that was open.
No, definitely. It kind of goes back to what I was saying about our run game being the way it was last night, and they had to kind of, stop that as a defense. And when you do that, you create one-on-one matchups on the outside, and I'm going to take my chances with Tyrese every time. So he did a good job, stacking the defender, getting on his toes, all that kind of stuff that he's taught to do, and then he just ran by him. And they were playing they had a deep free safety, and I wanted to put it kind of over his outside shoulder, which is what I kind of think you're talking about on that second one. I was a little bit more out there. But he made a good play, and really all of our receivers did. I think Trayvon Alexander, he stepped up. He did a really good job in terms of being that big body receiver for us. He kind of went up and, basically got a jump ball for us and for a touchdown. And to see that for him, I was really happy for him. And hopefully we can kind of, build off that as we move forward.
Yeah, that when you were talking about the Trayvon Alexander, boy, guy right in your face, free hitter, coming at you, hits your arm at the end of the throw, and you still deliver that thing, and he comes back and mosses it off the dude's helmet. That was a pretty impressive play. Tell me, so as I watch this as a quarterback, I know, having walls makes these receivers have to be better route runners. Yeah. Because in the big field, oftentimes guys will run at a guy and then try to run around him and then get downfield. You have to set a guy up to create your move, or else he's going to slam you into the wall running a go route. Talk about Tyrese Chambers, because I had him on the show last week. By the way, love him. He was fantastic. He does not lack for confidence in the least. And I say that in only the best way, because that's what I want my receivers to be. I want my receivers to believe that they are going to make every catch, get open every time, and be the guy that needs more catches, right? And so, but talk about how having to play with that wall actually makes them better route runners.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's all about angles, and like you said, the field is smaller, so there's not a whole lot of space for them to kind of, run around people and use their speed. They really have to be good route runners. So it really is about angles, on certain routes and really getting on the toes of the defender, making the defender feel the pressure of kind of what you're about to do as a receiver and almost make them guess a little bit. And when you understand the angles, and we're really starting to get to that point at receiver where all the guys are understanding it, guys come open. And like you said about the confidence aspect, I want all my receivers, if I ask them, hey, were you open on that play? I want them to say yeah. And then it's my job to kind of, determine if they are actually open. So route running is really important in the arena game. And all those guys are doing a really good job, so far.
Yeah, getting open. I just love the fact that Tyrese is kind of coming into his own right now and giving you that big weapon. The go route especially. I just, having been around this league for the first time this year, I played in the AFL forever, so I understand the indoor game, but the IFL with different defensive rules, I just think the only thing that I've been missing seeing, and from everybody, is the vertical game, right? The vertical game. Yeah. A part of it is that, quarterbacks don't get a ton of time with the new pass rush rules, so you guys got to figure it out and make these shots on the run. But part of it is that I think guys are trying to run all these combination routes rather than just saying, I'm going to go mano and, play dude coverage and say who wins, my dude versus your dude. I like that. So this week you've got San Antonio coming up. Tell me, it's a rematch, right? First game of the season for you guys was against San Antonio. You got the L in that one. Talk about going down there to get even.
I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us. I think, obviously they got us in the first game of the year, and I think the way we played as a team isn't really reflective of what we are right now. I think it was the first game. We were still getting to know each other, figuratively and literally, we didn't have a lot of time off the field before that game. And I think, they're a good team. They're going to be coached well. We got to go on the road. It's going to be a tough environment and, put it to them. We got some payback for them, and I'm excited for this opportunity and all of our guys to kind of really go put it to a team that, thinks that, they got after us in the first game, and we don't think so. So we're excited for it. It'll be a good opportunity, and, we'll go put a good show on the road.
I don't think I've asked you this before because head coach Rob Keefe is a defensive guy. Yeah. You're a quarterback. What's your relationship like with Coach Keefe? What is that like? I always know defensive coaches, right? There's always, I love them, but there's always a little bit of tension. Like, we're going to come get you defense. Oh, it's all defense. What's that relationship like?
It's a good relationship. I mean, practices are super competitive, just between the offense and the defense. He wants the defense to do really well, and obviously he wants the offense to do well too. But, in those practice situations, it gets heated and fun, and you want that. He's obviously the defensive coordinator too, so he wants his defense to do well and play well in practice, and we want to do well as an offense in practice. So competition's really good, but I mean, the relationship's really good. I mean, a lot of things are going on in the team, and everything meshes well together, and there's really no issue with it. And Coach Rod and Coach Moss, I have a really good relationship with them, and they basically handle the offensive side of stuff. And so, we're really meshing well as a team right now compared to where we were in week one. So I'm excited for all of us to kind of go show what we've improved on.
Are you a trash talker at all in practice? I was a selective trash talker, just a little bit. I would just kind of give them the business every now and then. Be like, you'd say something, I'd be like, come on, Fleet, really? Come on.
Yeah, that's all it is. Kind of, I'm selective to it. That I try not to say too much. I'm worried about my job out there, but really, when I score touchdowns in the games, when I like to let that kind of come out of me. And but no, defense. I mean, too, defensive guys, they're always going to be trash talkers. They let us hear it at practice, and we just go score on them. So
always.
Yeah. So, but it's good. It's a good competitive environment for sure.
I love that. What does this team have to do to get in the championship form?
I think we just got to continue improvement. I think we're on the right track right now. Obviously, we took a road loss at Arizona that, probably isn't as reflective, like I said, of what we're capable of. But it was a really good road test. They're a good team. They're a really good team, and we were right there with them, And we'll see them again later in the year. And I think we just got to continue to improve, learn from that situation, and then, not take step backs as we move forward. Continue to improve, make sure we're doing the right things with our bodies, with our football stuff, really to put us in a position, once the end of the season comes around, that we're playing high level championship football.
Well, that is awesome. I appreciate you coming on today, man. A huge game last night. That was awesome. So this week, I'm going to predict it Offensive Player of the Week in the IFL, Josh Jones, our guest here tonight. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate Morris Joseph Jr., Coach Keefe, always everybody coming on here. Everybody, you can catch our game this week coming up, or 05 West Coast time against the San Antonio Gunslingers from Texas. Our pregame starts at 3:50. My partner Kevin Richardson and I will bring you all the action. Be sure you tune in for this one. Again, Panthers starting to get back on a roll, finding their stride, especially on offense, was pretty awesome. Big win last week, 68-57. Looking for more coming up. I appreciate you guys tuning in. For Bay Area Panthers and Bay Area Panthers Weekly, I'm Mike Pulaski. I'll catch you next week.